Hello, everyone. Now, I know that it's hard to keep up on top of what's going on in the Holy Land, but if you want to know more about what's happening here in Israel, I'm Aaron Porras, and this is the Weekly Review. An IDF soldier has been moderately wounded in the West Bank today in a stabbing attack near a bus stop by her military base. The suspected terrorist reportedly starting the attack by trying to steal the soldier's weapon. Then, amid the resulting struggle, the terrorist stabbed the soldier in the back, successfully stole the firearm, and attempted to flee on foot. Security forces nearby, however, quickly catching up to and apprehending the suspect, while the victim was airlifted to nearby hospital. Paramedics saying she was moderately wounded, but is stable. German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier arriving in Israel Wednesday, the 3-day-long official state visit, including meetings with new Israeli leadership and a visit to the Yad Vashem Holocaust Memorial. Hannah Rifkin with the details.
Arriving in Israel and heading down to Jaffa on Wednesday, German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier setting the tone for his visit to Israel, with a call to action against rising anti-Semitism, and Steinmeier, a close ally to Israel, only getting started. The president discussing coronavirus responses, support for two-state negotiations between Israel and the Palestinian Authority, a continuing determination for preventing Iran from getting nuclear arms, and a great concern over the sharp rise in anti-Semitism seen around the world, particularly amid the 11-day conflict with Hamas in Gaza in May. Additionally, Steinmeier set to visit the Yad Vashem Holocaust Memorial and meet with members of the Israeli government, new and old, like outgoing president and close personal friend Reuven Rivlin, incoming President Isaac Herzog, and new coalition partners Prime Minister Naftali Bennett and Foreign Minister Yair Lapid.
זכיתי להכיר אותך אדם לבבי וחם, אינטליגנטי. אוי, כמה אינטליגנטי. רגיש ואנושי. כן, זכינו בחבר אמת. תודה לך. תודה לך, ידידי.
Steinmeier was scheduled to visit Israel last year, but had to postpone the visit due to the coronavirus pandemic. This is his first official visit abroad since the start of the pandemic.
Our top news tonight, Foreign Minister Yair Lapid celebrating regional peace on Tuesday at the official inauguration of Israel's first ever embassy to the United Arab Emirates. And Lapid explaining in his speech at the ribbon cutting in Abu Dhabi that peace isn't a compromise, but a victory for all that's good.
Israel wants peace with its neighbors, with all its neighbors. We aren't going anywhere. The Middle East is our home, and we are here to stay. So we call on all the countries of the region to recognize that and to come to talk to us.
The Israeli Foreign Minister / alternate Prime Minister then also thanking former Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for being the architect behind the Abraham Accords that made this momentous occasion possible. Meanwhile, among the achievements just signed during Lapid's 48-hour visit, a historic economic pact, the framework of which reportedly including agreements to both strengthen previous economic deals and to facilitate the formation of new ones. All that's left is for both governments to then ratify the agreements, which, if ratified, will hold for 5-year periods. Now, as Foreign Minister Yair Lapid is making his historic stop in the United Arab Emirates, Israeli President Reuven Rivlin is touring through America, and he's meeting with top legislative and congressional officials on the way. Israeli President Reuven Rivlin landing in Washington, D.C. this morning ahead of a historic itinerary. Rivlin now in the United States for his very last official visit as acting president, his term coming to an end July 9. And during the tour, Rivlin meeting with United States President Biden, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and senior congressional leaders, after which he's scheduled to return to New York for meetings at the UN headquarters. As for what was discussed, Rivlin and his American hosts reiterating their nation's shared values and commitments to good relations regardless of disagreements. But they reportedly especially focused on the Israel-Hamas war last month and Middle East concerns over the United States' re-entry into the Iran nuclear deal.
We're committed to unwavering commitment to self-defense, and today we're going to be discussing a broad range of challenges, including Iran. What I can say to you, Iran will never get a nuclear weapon on my watch, as they say.
Israel have no greater friend, ally, than the United States of America. And because of that, of course, we, according to a real friendship, can from time to time discuss matters and even agree not to agree about everything. But we count on you and your really declaration just now really brought the Israelis to understand that we have a great friend at the White House.
But all along, we have had a great friendship. The support for Israel in this Congress has always been strongly bipartisan, as you wish, and it will continue to be so because of our shared values and because of our mutual security concerns.
We are partners. We are parties, dear Speaker. We are friends, our nations bound together. Friends may have disagreements from time to time. This will never endanger our close relations.
Now, Foreign Minister Yair Lapid met with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Sunday in Rome, marking the first face-to-face meeting in his new role with his counterpart in the Biden administration. While the two had much to discuss, including Iran, normalization with Gulf states, and the Palestinian conflict, Lapid did not hold back in his criticism of Israel's previous government led by Benjamin Netanyahu, saying mistakes were made and pledging to fix them. He also expressed Israel's serious reservations over the Iran nuclear deal. ILTV's Hannah Rifkin with the report.
Secretary Blinken and I represent new administrations. Yours a few months old, ours a few weeks old, almost a few days. But we also represent a very long and strong tradition of close friendship and cooperation. There is no relationship more important to Israel than the United States of America. There's no loyal friend to the United States of America than Israel. In the past few years, mistakes were made. Israel's bipartisan standing was hurt. We will fix those mistakes together.
These were the remarks made by Foreign Minister Yair Lapid ahead of a meeting with U.S. counterpart, Secretary of State Antony Blinken, in Rome. Lapid slamming the Netanyahu administration for diminishing bipartisan support for Israel and saying that over the past few days, he spoke with a series of American leaders, both Democrat and Republican, in an effort to mend ties. With regards to Iran and the ongoing negotiations for a nuclear deal, a point of contention between the two countries, Lapid saying Israel has some serious reservations, though expressing hope the two administrations will work out their differences in private.
We will have disagreements, but they are not about the essence, they are all about how to get there. We want the same things, we sometimes disagree about how to achieve them. Israel has some serious reservations about the Iran nuclear deal that is being put together in Vienna. We believe the way to discuss those disagreements is through direct and professional conversation, not in press conferences.
Lapid also thanking the U.S. for its support of Israel's normalization efforts in the region. Blinken in turn saying he's looking forward to working with the new Israeli coalition and above all, stressing the importance of negotiations between Israelis and Palestinians and saying that the humanitarian situation in Gaza is a key issue on the agenda.
You rightly noted our strong support for the normalization agreements, the Abraham Accords with Israel's neighbors and beyond. We strongly support this, and hopefully there'll be other participants. I think we've also discovered, or perhaps rediscovered, that as important as they are, as vital as they are not a substitute for engaging on the issues between Israelis and Palestinians that need to be resolved.
Following his meeting with Blinken, Lapid also meeting with the Foreign Minister of Bahrain, the two discussing expanding the normalization accords as well as Iran. And later this week, Lapid is also expected to visit the United Arab Emirates, a historic trip marking the first state visit by an Israeli minister.
In other news, Indian security officials have now announced the arrest of 4 individuals suspected of connection to the explosion outside of the Israeli embassy in New Delhi earlier this year. Thankfully, there were no casualties reported at the time, but the explosion detonated outside of the Israeli mission on January 29, coinciding with the 29th anniversary of establishing ties between India and Israel. And according to reports, the 4 suspects are all college students aged 21 to 25 from Kargil in Kashmir, and all with alleged ties to Iran. In fact, the Hindustan Times previously reported the attack as being carried out by a local Shiite cell with connections to Iran's IRGC Quds force. And Indian officials likewise previously claimed that the blast may have been an act of revenge A letter addressed to Israeli ambassador to India, Ron Malka, for one, vowing vengeance for the assassinations of IRGC commander Qasem Soleimani and Iranian nuclear scientist Mohsen Fakhrizadeh. That said, Indian authorities are still shying away from fully confirming a specific motive for the attack. Now back in Israel, the Jewish state thankfully still considered a green country. But coronavirus infections are back on a fairly consistent rise, so authorities are yet again increasing measures to prevent a fourth wave outbreak. Hannah Rifkin with the details.
Israeli hospitals bracing for impact, expecting a potential fourth wave of COVID-19 infections and hospitalizations. One health official even telling Israeli media on Wednesday that, quote, the medical teams are already exhausted, having not yet recovered from the previous waves, and they're worried that they may not be able to stand another hit. But the hit's likely coming. 723 students, for one, now sent home from the Einstein School in Petach Tikva after 20 kids tested positive for the virus. Parents of an infected student sent her to school despite her being mid-quarantine. And a father of one of the newly infected now threatening legal action over the apparent case of negligence. Likewise, the school's PTA head, Yifat Levy, condemning the decision as an irresponsible act. Meanwhile, efforts to combat the spread reawakening too. Teen vaccinations, for example, seeing a 500% increase over the last few days, under pressure from Prime Minister Naftali Bennett and Israeli health authorities to help contain the new Delta variant. And Bennett adding that Israel is in a race against time, with massive caches of vaccines set to expire in a month's time. Then, in attempts to prevent further COVID carriers from entering the country, Ben Gurion International Airport pioneering a segregation plan for separating travelers by the country they arrived from. The order coming from Transportation Minister Merav Michaeli, who suggests using one terminal for travelers coming from red countries and another for all the rest. Further, the ministry is also increasing shuttle operations within the airport to reduce crowding, especially amid reports of massive lines of people waiting to get mandatory PCR tests.
Just over a week has now passed since the Palestinian Authority reneged on a previously agreed-upon trade with Israel for over 1 million COVID vaccines. And now, without another buyer in line, it looks like soon the perfectly viable doses may all have to be tossed in the trash.
Israel could flush roughly $32.9 million down the drain if the country doesn't find buyers in the next 2 weeks for vaccines that are soon to expire. The country currently has a surplus of 1.4 million shots of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine that will expire at the end of July, 90,000 of which were sent back by the Palestinian Authority on June 18, when a trade deal collapsed under the pretenses of a coming expiration. In any case, while the Israeli Health Ministry hopes to use 600,000 vaccines on its own population, half of which will likely target teens aged 12 to 15, at least 800,000 doses will need to be sold or thrown out. The good news is that the Jewish state's hunt for buyers is coinciding with other countries expanding their own vaccination drives. This in efforts to deal with the increase in cases of the rapidly spreading Delta variant from India. Reports have not yet named the countries Israel is in talks with, however, but the hope is to either have the vaccines purchased or taken in exchange for future vaccine shipments, like in the original deal with the Palestinian Authority.
The United States announced on Sunday that it conducted defensive precision airstrikes against facilities used by Iran-backed militia groups in the Iraq-Syria border region. According to a statement released by the Pentagon, the attack was at President Biden's direction. Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby said in a statement that the U.S. strikes targeted operational and weapons storage facilities at 2 locations in Syria and 1 location in Iraq that were being utilized by Iran-backed militia groups for drone attacks against U.S. personnel and facilities in Iraq. The U.S. said the facilities were being used by Kataib Hezbollah and Kataib Said al-Shuhada, or KSS. While the U.S. statement did not address any casualties, according to Iranian media and several news sites, at least 4 members of Iranian-backed militias were killed in the attack. While Syria's state-run Sana news agency said 1 child had been killed and others wounded.
All right, over a month has passed now since the conflict between Israel and the Hamas terror group in Gaza, a conflict largely referred to as Israel's first war of artificial intelligence. And the bar is only getting higher. So against the backdrop of the war and the Israeli military's multi-year momentum program, the IDF's Gaza division is developing a first-of-its-kind semi-autonomous robot. Say hello to the JAGUAR, a groundbreaking robotic ground vehicle developed by the IDF and Israel Aerospace Industries. And it serves as both a substitute for soldiers on the border and in the line of fire, and as a major advancement to the military's defense capabilities. The Momentum program is focusing on transforming the military into a high-tech force to be reckoned with. As such, the robot is rigged with dozens of sensors, an automated driving apparatus, and a public address system. It's also armed with a 7.62mm mag machine gun, and it even has the ability to self-destruct should the Jaguar ever be captured by an enemy. The real X factor, though, of this robot lies in its semi-autonomy, with the Jaguar being able to self-drive and bypass obstacles on its own, all while IDF soldiers maintain full operational control if they want to, from afar. In a statement, the IDF saying that the Jaguar is one of the most innovative ground robots in the Smart and Deadly Border Project in the Northern Division of the Gaza Strip. Now moving on, ILTV's Emmanuel Kadosh returning with SR Cosmetics and their latest and greatest line in skincare products.
Hi everyone, welcome back. We are here to talk about SR Cosmetics' most recent line, which is the EVERCURE line, which is inspired by the Amazons. We have here 3 products that we are going to get into details about and show you what they look like and what they feel like on my skin. The first one here is an eye cream. We also have a retinol serum and then a scar curing cream that you are using with the micro needle system. So let's get started.
Actually, what the scar cure does, it just flatten out and even out all the texture of your skin and peels away the excess scar tissue. So this retinol is capsulated, so your skin gets exactly what it needs in each and every area. The thing you're going to put around your eyes, the eye cure, and this is amazing because it reduces puffiness in a minute and it relaxes the skin and the body. It's really, really nice.
And now for more on the EVERCURE line by SR Cosmetics, the one and only Emmanuel Kadosh takes it away.
Thank you, Aaron. I am joined once again by Galia from SR Cosmetics. How are you?
Hi, always a pleasure being here with you.
It's always a pleasure to have you here. We are talking about the SR Cosmetics EVERCURE line. Tell me a little bit about it. I see the products are already here, ready to be spoken about.
Yeah, the products, and of course they are green because in this line we're going to take you far away to South America, to the forest of the Amazon. And you know, the Amazon area is considered to be like the nature field for cures. This is the reason that we chose the name EVERCURE, because it's an evergreen forest and the cure is forever good for your skin.
I have personally tried these products and let me tell you, they were a game changer, like unbelievable. The scar cream, the eye cream, which was unbelievable. It literally took away all of my puffiness on my face.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I want you kind of to tell us a little bit about each product.
So the first one that we'll talk about is the one that you tried already.
Yes.
The anti-puffiness and the anti-aging eye cream.
Unbelievable.
Okay? It's called EVERCURE Eye Cure. And you know, the eye area is 10 times thinner than any other area in your body in terms of our skin. This is why we have to take special care of it. So this formula is presented to you especially for puffiness and then dark circles.
A lot of people get, you know, maybe after a night of drinking or if they're a little bit tired, you wake up and your face feels a little puffy. Like this is the EVERCURE eye cream. I want to hear you kind of go into details about this scar cream because this changed a lot for me. You know, there's a lot of people that whether it's acne scars or maybe what we were talking about before, maybe surgical scars that you make you a little bit insecure. And I could tell you, you know, I had acne when I was younger and scars, pigmentations, whatever it is. This cream changed things.
Yeah, it is a game changer.
Yeah.
First of all, take notice that all this line is really hygienic because it's airless. You use it day and night daily to get the effect and the results that you want. And
yeah, because this is the hottest thing right now. You see this all over from a bunch of different companies, but I know that this really helps the scar cream penetrate through your skin a little bit better and allows the product to kind of absorb into your skin. So tell me about this.
So you take the derma roller, and you know the derma roller is good not only for scars, just for rejuvenating your skin. Of course, you can go on our website and get all the instructions that you need, how to use it, and also videos with demos that you can see. And of course, our last product in this line is the retinol cure, which is also amazing. You've tried it.
Of course I've tried it. But tell me exactly the benefits of retinol.
Okay, so retinol is a derivative of vitamin A. Okay, and retin A. This derivative is really effective, but it's not effective in any way that your skin can process it. Okay. This is why this retinol is special. It's encapsulated. It means that the active ingredient, the active retinol, is inside micro nanocapsules that you cannot see with your eyes, but it melts into your skin while you put it on, and it's more effective.
So it's really an EVERCURE for anybody that needs it. Thank you so much for being with me. I'm sure so many people are going to be obsessed with these products, so thanks for sharing. And back to you, Aaron.
Now our final topic tonight, a new exciting partnership with Izzy, the Israeli streaming platform through which consumers can enjoy a different way to watch ILTV. For example, with Izzy, people will be able to catch up on the latest Israeli news, as well as with special ILTV Izzy collaborations. Here to tell us more is Josh Hoffman, co-CEO and founder of Izzy Streaming. Josh, thanks so much for being here. All right, tell us a little bit about Izzy. How would you describe it, and what are the need-to-know basics?
Definitely. I mean, I say that Izzy is, the next best thing to being in Israel, right? Israeli movies, TV shows, documentaries, now news with ILTV, which is amazing. And it's really allows people to experience Israel from anywhere in the world on demand, just like you get Netflix or HBO, you get Izzy on those same platforms.
So where is Izzy available, though? Because if I understand correctly, it's not actually for Israelis.
Correct. We're only interested in exporting Israel and the magic of Israel to the world. So Israel, ironically, is the only country that you can't get Izzy. But if you're not in Israel, any other country in the world, you can get Izzy on any of the platforms that you get any other streaming platform.
Any plans to maybe expand to Israeli audiences back locally in the future?
Anything can happen, never say never, but at the same time, we have local partners like other TV channels and now ILTV, so, we're not trying to step on anyone's toes, and we definitely want to just continue to pursue our mission of enhancing the world's relationship with Israel.
All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the ILTV Izzy partnership, which I'm very excited about. What can we expect from it?
Well, the thing that really excites me is that it's a collaboration. And in what I call the world of Zionism, I think we need more collaborations, nonprofits, for-profits, media companies, and other media companies. So I think if we can create a model and an example of what a nice, legit collaboration looks like, that's the most exciting thing to me.
Josh, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks, Aaron.
And that's it for ILTV's Weekly Review. I'm Aaron Porras. See you next week.